Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss In Bruges, starring Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Ray Fiennes, and Clemenza Pozzi, forgive me if I said that wrong, directed by Martin McDonagh. Now, before I get into this movie, I have a couple things to bring up. Yes, I did do 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri when the 2017/2018 Oscars nominations were out. So you can see that review on somewhere around you can find it, but and I am coming into this one fresh as I've never seen this movie before, but I have seen his next 2 films, and I'm kind of excited for the Banshees of Inisherin. So let's see how this goes. Since this is my first viewing, let's get into the movie. We take a trip to Bruges, Belgium, where 2 men named Ray, played by Colin Farrell, and Ken, played by Brendan Gleeson, make a getaway from London, England, into Bruges, or Bruges, as I'll have to remember calling it, as it's Christmas time, and they have no choice but to stay there for 2 weeks, and Ray is a nervous wreck after killing a priest as well as a child, in which I first thought was fiction, but unfortunately, it's real according to this movie. And Colin Farrell does a good job at playing a nervous wreck, and I get lost into his character. And Brendan Gleeson also does some good work in this movie, as well as the dialogue works very well between these 2 characters. While Ken goes in a touristy spot, somewhere in a tower, which happens to be, a couple of American tourists who are also fat, excuse me for saying that, please, I'm fat too, so just keep in mind, ask if the tower is worth seeing, and Ray gives a brutally honest answer, saying it's rubbish, and tries to fight Ray. And the American tourists try to fight Ray, and Ken comes out to tell them the honest truth of how it's not a great touristy spot. And the daughter says, "Screw you, motherfucker," which will give you the wrong impression of Americans, sure, if you live in Belgium or any other place in a foreign country if you live there. And not to give anybody a wrong idea about us Americans, I will say that much. They are well shot scenes, even during the day. Nighttime comes, and Ray sees a movie set with a dwarf named Jimmy being shot on camera, and Jimmy looked familiar as I've reviewed him a couple of times in a couple of American Pie Presents video sequels, as well as Howard the Duck. And I've seen him in Mirror Mirror and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and I like him in this movie. Ray goes by the set and meets and asks out Chloe, played by Clemenza Pozzi, whom I've reviewed for the 4th time in this show, as she was in a couple of the Harry Potter films, as well as 127 Hours and Tenet. And she accepts by giving Ray her business card, and they have fun with each other in this film, I'll say. Ken gets back and gets a message from Harry, played by Ray Fiennes, as this motherfucker cusses quite a bit, as Ken apologizes to the hotel clerk, who is pregnant the next morning. And the character Ray Fiennes plays is an asshole, sure, and I do like Ray Fiennes as he plays assholes quite well. Ray acts like a 5-year-old as they do what Ken wants to do, as long as he goes on his date with Chloe. It puts Ken in a mood that isn't good, I'll say. And Ray sees Jimmy waves at him, but Jimmy doesn't wave back. For what reason? It'll be explained later in the film. And I like the way Bruges was shot in this movie, and the cinematographer does a tremendous job filming this movie, and director Martin McDonagh tells the story quite well, as I must say. We get the flashback of Ray killing the priest, and the kid, in which I brought up earlier, as the kid was more of an accident than the priest, because he was killing the priest for Harry, but not the kid. And that's why Ray is a nervous wreck, as he mourns about the kid. And Colin Farrell is a very good actor, from playing a nervous wreck here versus a badass in movies like Minority Report, to a bald man in Daredevil, the Ben Affleck one, to even transforming into the Penguin recently in the Batman. That's how much of a good actor he is. And Brendan Gleeson plays a character where he doesn't scream as much as Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter versus various other roles, where he always sounds aggressive, but not this time here. And I really like his performance, and the acting is great in this movie. Ray and Chloe are on their date, and they're in the smoking area, and she smokes while a couple of Canadian assholes complain to Ray about the smoke coming towards their faces while in the bathroom Chloe is in, and Ray beats the shit out of the couple as he brings up the Vietnamese, and he and Chloe leave the restaurant as he tells her he doesn't want hit women, and he hit the Canadian woman because she attacked him with a bottle, and she kisses him, which was pretty unrealistic. And as it turns out, there will be a second date, which also felt pretty unrealistic, but they have a good chemistry. Harry calls Ken while Ray is out of the room, and Harry tells Ken to kill Ray, which is the reason why Ray is a nervous wreck from the beginning of the movie. And that's good storytelling, in my opinion. Chloe takes Ray to her place, and her ex-boyfriend comes in and attacks him until Ray pretends to shoot him, as it's just lights, and he blinds the ex-boyfriend with the light, and Chloe begs for Ray to call her, and that does sound like the date went well at all. And how the fuck is there a second date to begin with, which kind of bothers me, but I'll go with it. I'll just go with it. Ray steals some cocaine while Ken is in the pub and sees Jimmy with a prostitute who is pretty, but I never got her name. And Ray comes in and gets a drink and with Ken, and he gets moody, and suddenly Ray goes to Jimmy and asks him why he didn't wave at him, gives out his reason, and Ray offers Jimmy his prostitute cocaine, and they smoke those scenes. And honestly, these scenes are fucking hilarious, because particularly when they do cocaine with Ray and Ken, and as they learn Jimmy is a racist motherfucker, and the way Ray karate chops Jimmy was actually kind of funny to me. Ken meets up with Yuri, who is a character we didn't meet until this particular scene and almost an hour into the movie. And he gets the gun from Yuri, Ken I mean, and the hotel clerk tells Ken Ray was behaving oddly while he goes to the park and almost kills Ray, as Ray almost kills himself, and that was a total what the fuck moment, as I couldn't believe what I just saw. Ken confesses to Ray about Harry, who was going to get Ray killed, and tells Ray to get on a train and get out of Bruges. As he does get on a train, and Ken tells Harry to come and get him to kill him, and Harry tells his wife and kids that he has to go away to Bruges to take care of some business, and Ray pulls off Menace so well, from Schindler's List to Harry Potter to even in this movie. Ray's train stops randomly as the Canadian couple gets him off the train and to Bruges, or back to Bruges, I'll say, while Harry arrives in Bruges and sees the guy Ray blinded earlier in the film named Eric, as he works with Yuri and for Harry, which was quite the convenience. Harry finds Ken in a table outside of a restaurant and have a conversation about Ray and how he almost killed himself, and they go to the tower where Ken toured earlier in the movie to kill him, and as well as the front desk man named Frankie, while Ray gets out of prison, thanks to Chloe, and they get a drink to see Jimmy in the costume for a movie he's working on, and say their goodbyes while Harry shoots Ken, and he falls to his death, which was graphic for damn sure. Eric tells Harry Ray is at the bar, so Harry can shoot Ray, and they run back to the hotel, and Ray tells Harry to kill him in the canal, from the canal, I'll say, so the pregnant hotel clerk can be left alone with her baby, as Ray is on a boat and gets shot from a distance by Harry. And how could that work while there was a driver there is beyond me, but I'll move on to Ray running for his life to a crowded neighborhood where the movie's set is, where Jimmy's movie's being filmed. And Jimmy and the crew see Harry shooting at Ray, as he also shot Jimmy and decides to shoot himself as he shot a dwarf. And Ray gets rolled to the hospital, and is he dead or not? This climax doesn't tell me whether Ray lived or died, and that's the same problem I had with the ending of 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, when I did that review for the Oscar bait in early 2018, where it was an incomplete ending, and it didn't leave me satisfied as a viewer. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.0 out of 10. I do like the performances by Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Ray Fiennes, and the other actors in this movie, as the acting is graded in this is a great, and the writing is also tremendous in this movie. Colin Farrell does a good job at playing a nervous wreck as well, and as various other characters, and Brendan Gleeson isn't overly aggressive like he is in other movies, while Colin Farrell and Chloe have good chemistry, such good chemistry, I'll say, and the dialogue is fucking hilarious, in my opinion. Kudos to director Martin McDonagh and the cinematographer for making Bruges look so good that eventually I might visit there one day. And I'm glad I saw the film as it works quite well, but the ending wasn't satisfying, but still, it's a good movie and it's recommendable at the end of the day. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time we'll be back with 7 Psychopaths. And until then, bye-bye.